sponsors. We don't just take their money and run like a Butterbar lieutenant lost on a land nav course. Are you finally ready to plant your flag and claim your territory? Maybe it's time to use that VA loan to buy a home. Or hell, maybe you're looking to refinance and put some extra cash in your pocket for more questionable life decisions. Either way, the Veterans Mortgage Source, powered by Canopy Mortgage, has your six. Look, buying a home or refinancing can feel like getting overrun on a bad op. Chaotic, confusing, and full of obstacles that make no damn sense. That's where Corey and his team come in. They're like the QRF of home loans, ready to pull you out of the chaos and guide you to the best program for you. And trust me, they'll answer all your questions. Yeah, even the dumb ones. Whether you're a salty vet or fresh out of barracks still trying to figure out where your TA-50 went. Great service, solid rates, and a team that actually understands the military life. That's why all of us here at Veteran Trash Talk trust them to do right by every veteran in their family. Ready to lock it in? Give Corey a call or shoot him a text at 808-699-7874. That's 808-699-7874. Don't wait. Unless you like overpaying and getting treated like an FNG. The Veterans Mortgage Source is powered by Canopy Mortgage, LLC. All loans are subject to credit and property approval.
What's up, Trash Talkers? Listen, it's impossible to fight, okay, if you don't know what you're fighting for. Does that make sense? Like, if you're in the dumps and you're struggling with mental health, things of that nature, it's going to continue tearing you down, all right? Because you're consistently trying to fight something, which is that demon, which is usually something from the past, right? Maybe that why needs to be fighting for your future. Let that be your why. Get the hell up and start fighting for your future. Stop fighting things that happened in the past. Easier said than done, right? Go seek help. It's okay not to be okay. A lot of people need to hear this. You are more of a warrior and a fighter if you stand up and say, hey, this has to stop. I need to go seek help. The stigma, everything has changed. It's okay not to be okay.
And so my honesty cap is dedicated to a little, we'll call it a public service announcement for civilians and other people in the military. There are a few people that you should always take their stories with a grain of salt. Vegans, CrossFitters, and special operations guys that tell you that they were special operations without being prompted. The first thing they say is, yeah, I used to be soft. Right. The only unicorn in that entire group is like a special operations guy that was like a vegan and did CrossFit. That guy's probably going to stay quiet for a little bit longer because he's confused as what he should talk about first. That's the only reason. Right. Anybody that says that they were soft without being prompted or without it being like a normal part of your communications is probably either an enabler or going to tell you a bunch of stuff that's not exactly true.
What's up, Trash Talkers? Hitting you up this morning with a special promo on how to dress when you are doing PT in civilians, but you want everybody to know you're an Army. This comes from the Buddy Beckwith fashion design of how to work out. So first, you can notice the RI panties. Not Ranger panties, but Ranger instructor panties. The green socks, the knee brace for the old guys. Don't forget the M frames. Now the shirt, don't wear the Trash Talk shirt while you're running. This is just for the promo. You want to put on like an 80-second shirt or like your favorite airborne shirt so everybody knows that you're a veteran. That's the most important thing. And you start with this stretch. Buddy Beckwith taught me this one. ready to go.
This is the Veteran Trash Talk Hour, hosted by Nick, Dave, and Buddy. Real warriors making fun of other real warriors. Try to not get triggered.
What's up, Trash Talkers? What is up, Gruntworks Nation? Welcome to Season 2, Episode 31 of the Trash Talk Hour. Special
numbers
guests
don't
today
make
are
sense.
Michelle and Dave with Thin Blue Wine. And as usual, I'm here with Buddy and the Big Earl. Happy Saturday. What's up?
Don't forget Chris, jerk.
Yeah. Chris is actually staying on. Look at him. Sorry,
Yeah.
Chris. Sorry.
Weird.
Sorry.
No, I want to say that's probably the best intro that we've had from Dave, where he didn't screw it up. Like,
And then he
it's been
screwed
about
it up
like
in the end.
Yeah, he screwed up. Well, that I'll give him a slide on that because you're not
Give me a
supposed to be
slide on
here.
that one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But normally he gets the guest name wrong, their company wrong, says something.
You got to ignite the dumpster fire, Nick. That's
Yeah,
why we do that. I got to play my role when we're on the show, you know?
Right. Like he'll say some word with an accent and say it's because he speaks 3 languages, which we all know is not true.
Which is a fact, you know?
No.
But no big deal.
I mean,
Nobody can fact check him. That's why it's a fact.
we can ask Jerry. Dave's mom's watching from Virginia.
She is. Hi, Mom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, hi, Mom. And then we got Travis coming in from South Carolina. Nice.
Let's go.
So, hey, thanks. Yeah, give us a like and a share, fellas and ladies. We got some good viewership right now, so let's get some more. We're shadow banned on YouTube, so do it. Yeah.
How's everybody's week go? Good. Yeah.
Great. I'm super pumped. I moved out to California. One of my buddies from El Paso, he's a very, very, very good golfer. He won his sectional for the U.S. Open qualifier, and the qualifier final is at the club by me. And so I was able to go there and take him around the course today, and he's going to play in it on Monday. So cheers.
Nice.
We're cheering for Javier Quevedo. All right. He plays under the Mexican flag, but he's from El Paso. So it's
Nice.
easier to get in.
I think I saw you posted on Facebook. That's what's up.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So
Good
pumped.
stuff. Good.
Me
Good.
too.
Artie's
Get
just
out
like, when can I drink?
Play
Buddy's like,
golf.
can I drink? Can I drink yet?
That's wait for that part.
Drink. Yeah. But anyway,
Y'all-
let's
y'all gonna
kick-start
leave
it.
it
Yeah.
tasting?
Yeah. We'll
I even
cheers.
brought a
We'll cheers.
glass.
Yeah.
I even brought a
You got a
glass.
glass?
I didn't drink straight out
That's
of the
nice.
bottle this time. I was told that wasn't.
Nick and I got the plastic
kosher.
cups. We're good.
Yeah.
Mm.
I tasted the wine last
Hey,
night.
watch this. Watch this, guys. Watch this. Boom. That's a real pour. You go from the little thumb hole in the back and you get a little twist. I learned that the other day. Not a huge deal, guys.
Wait, you put your thumb in the
Thumb
back,
goes in the back.
like
That's what
in the indent.
That's what that part. 2 things that's for: to make a conical charge out of C4 and to put your thumb in.
And it doesn't go in a solo cup.
No.
Solo cups. No.
Unless you're at a kid's baseball game.
Or
Yeah.
in Alabama.
Or on the beach, right? When you can't
Unless
have
you're
no
at a T-ball game with all
container,
their
you
drunk
just,
moms.
solo cup. Yeah.
So,
Well, that's what the Stanleys are for.
Yeah.
That is true. Stanley's. Yeah. Well, before we get to all the wine tasting and to our amazing guests, we're going to go over a conspiracy that I found on Thursday night, or actually might have been Friday because I texted Chris. I'll be running a little bit late with it. And today it's all time travel and aliens. So should be a good one. There is a huge documentary out on this conspiracy, and there's a lot more to it, but this was the only condensed video I could find. It covered it in about 2 minutes instead of like 10, 20 minutes. So Chris, go ahead and play the video, and then we'll get to it.
This is the best evidence of an actual time traveler that we have.
In 2006, in the city of Kyiv, Ukraine, police were called to deal with a confused man. When they arrived, they found a young man who was scared, didn't know where he was, and was dressed in strange anachronistic clothing, carrying a camera. Little did they know that they were possibly standing face to face with an actual time traveler. The man's name was Sergei Ponomarenko, and when the police asked him for his ID, he handed it to them, and the first thing they noticed was that it was issued from a country that didn't exist anymore, the Soviet Union. Ukraine was, of course, part of the Soviet Union in the past, but the Soviet Union had dissolved almost a couple of decades ago at that point. So let's just say the police didn't see those IDs much anymore, especially on young people, and this guy looked like he was in his 20s. And yet his ID stated that his birth date was in 1932, and he matched the picture in the ID. Something didn't add up. When they asked him what day he thought it was, he answered April 23rd, 1958. And that's when the police said, okay, we're going to take you to a little room and you can talk to the nice doctor.
What the yeah.
So Sergei winds up in a mental hospital in the care of Dr. Pavlo Kudrikov. So the doctor played along with this whole idea, and he asked him if he could figure out or if he could remember how he wound up in 2006, even though he thought it was 1958. And as recorded by the doctor, Sergei said, quote, "It was daytime, and I wanted to go for a walk in the city. I took my camera, but when I left my house, I saw a strange object that had a bell shape, and it was very strange, and it was flying in a strange way. It is difficult to explain what I was seeing. It might be better to look at the photos from my camera." Dr. Kudrikov was curious, so he got a hold of the camera, and the first thing he noticed was that it was an old rare Yashima Flex. The doctor was a bit of a photographer himself, so he recognized the brand and knew right away that this was like an antique. Which is a problem, because it used a type of film that hadn't been manufactured since the 1970s. You can't just take it down to the CVS to get it developed, so he called in a photography expert named Vadim Poisner. Vadim got the film out, and he was able to see from the real info that it was manufactured in 1956. But it was in perfect condition. So he developed the roll, and this is when everything just kept getting weirder. What he found on the roll were photos of Kyiv, but clearly from a long time ago. All the cars, all the clothes, all the street signs, all were from the 50s. And there were photos of buildings that didn't exist anymore. And right there in front of those buildings was Sergei with his girlfriend at the time, out enjoying a beautiful day, wearing the exact same clothes he was found in. And the last photo on the reel, just as Sergei had suggested, featured a bell-shaped UFO. When the doctor asked him about the UFO photo, Sergei said, quote, "Now are you convinced I'm telling the truth? I so far do not understand what this object is and how something like that happened to me at the same moment when I took the picture and I went down to look at the camera and somehow I showed up in this year."
Imagine being so Russian that you're Russian to get 30 years into the future.
Yeah. So just a little more on the stories. So it continues in the documentary. It continues, and the doctor sends him to a private room. They have cameras in this hospital. He goes to this private room, and then he's gone and disappears. Like the next day, they go try to find him, and he's gone. And then the police later on track down his wife, who was at that time then 70 years old or 80 years old, and she says that her husband went missing back in the 50s. And she's like, I haven't seen my husband since then. And then they look at like old police records, and they do say that a Sergei guy in the 50s did go missing. So there's a lot more to his story, which is pretty crazy. So I'm just going to go with, I don't know. I feel like it's really hard to like Photoshop like an old camera and old cameras, like the stuff, like the actual photos, like I think that would be like a pretty, I don't know, difficult task. So I'm going to go 70% happened, 30% a great hoax. And that's my take. Michelle, Dave, what do you guys got? The guests always get to go first. We want your take on this.
Or right after Dave.
He's much more of a time traveler guy than I am, so you do.
I might need more wine for this one, though. I'm going to go with like 95 true and 5.
Ooh, I love it.
If you believe, and it's even in the Bible too, a lot of talk about different dimensions and different things. And then if you've studied string theory at all, it's all very plausible. But that's a huge rabbit hole you got to go down in, kind of look at a lot of different things. So
they talk about it in the documentary with Einstein's theory of relativity and all that. They bring all that up. Like there's a much longer documentary, and yeah, it's pretty interesting, but they hit on what you just said. So what are your thoughts, Michelle? Yes, no?
She doesn't believe in that stuff, so.
Well, my thoughts is he's got way too much time on his hands if he's thinking of all this stuff, string theory, etc. So I need to make him work harder. That's my thoughts.
Sounds like he needs a bigger honeydew list.
Yeah, our bottle output needs to go up significantly. Mm-hmm. So
yeah. Fair enough. Thank you. Good take, Chris. I guess you'll go prior to Buddy. What you got, man?
I don't know. That sounds like a lot of.
Wow, welcome to the show.
and then we brought you on here. You know, to be fair,
I don't know.
I'm here for this part.
I'm just
you're
saying
here,
it's
you're here to talk about wine.
very easy to go get one of those cameras that might have had film in it. Maybe the film was preserved and that's what it was there from. And how do we know that that's Sergei's wife? They didn't show her ID.
I just talked to you about that. They actually, in the longer documentary, they find Sergei's wife because she's still alive, and they speak to her.
Yeah, but how do we know that
Sergei
that's his wife in the photos is what I'm saying.
Oh, fair enough. But how did they get those photos of him back in the 50s onto that camera? Did they like take a picture of a computer screen or something? Or like, that's what really gets me on this one is the photos are actually like him, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it's from the 50s with a camera that we no longer develop or stuff that's why I'm like 70.
The camera is going to shoot black and white. It's not going to shoot color. And when you shoot photos on old film like that.
Yeah, why are you bringing race into it?
Yeah. Come on, man.
They look old. They may not be, but they look it. So those photos could have been from like 40 minutes before he was found.
The buildings aren't there anymore. That's what they're saying.
To mention, they do a comparison. The photos where they were taken were in Kiev, but there were buildings that no longer existed. So he had photos of buildings that used to be there.
There's a lot of buildings in Ukraine that don't.
I was going to say right now that's pretty much every corner.
Currently, singer, but yeah, that's what gets me. Like a lot of the photos are of buildings that used to be there.
Sounds
you know,
like it's a pretty elaborate hoax to me.
Okay, cool.
But you can also double expose film. So maybe the photos they found were just the buildings, and then they added him in. That's possible. You can take a photo over a photo.
They superimposed me, man.
Kinda. Yeah.
I don't know. It sounds a lot more complicated to like make that one a hoax than it would be that it maybe is the truth. Who knows? But yeah, good take. We'll take it. Buddy, what you got?
What's the benefit? First of all, two things.
Right. Yeah.
First thing.
Well, book deal maybe. I don't know if he wrote a book. But he's gone now, so he disappeared again. So like, what would be the benefit?
Hold on. I also, it always trips me out that your videos, there's something, I don't know what you're watching or how you're watching, but why is Tyrion Lannister the like guy that's like hosting the video? Did he like Game of Thrones ended? He just started doing conspiracy videos. You know, that's the midget from Small Person.
Yeah. I know who Tyrone Lannister is. I'm a big Game of Thrones fan. Yeah.
It's not Tyrone Lannister. It's Tyron.
Yeah. Tyrone. I'm doing that for Chris. Go ahead.
Tyrion.
Anyway, but there's no benefit to him, like the hoax. Like that's a lot of work to just be like, we're gonna really blow people's mind for 24 hours before I leave.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It is interesting that you would like people like when people used to talk about like time travel, they'd be like, oh, we'll just get into this like warp to this other dimension. It is interesting that they talked about a ship because you would have to travel distance and time at the same time because the Earth is not in the same place it was 50 years ago. It's hundreds and millions of miles away from that spot.
So what's your take though, buddy? Do you think that it could have happened?
I think it could have happened. Why not? And I mean, he's traveling forward in time, it's really not like they're he's not time traveling though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's more like an abduction, not time travel.
Yeah.
Because he left,
maybe
came back,
time travel.
Everyone else got older. They stayed the same age.
Yeah, here's a time travel thing, and we have covered this conspiracy. This was 40 shows ago, but the UFO that he saw was shaped as a bell, and we've spoken about it on the show. You know, the Nazis had that bell that they were developing for time travel, and then there's a big conspiracy that bell ended up in Pennsylvania somewhere, and it was found like I don't know in the 1990s. Yeah, whatever. It's some crazy bell, and it's like identical to what this guy took a picture of. Like I don't know if there's any connection with it, but
I don't know.
You know,
like
who knows?
Nazis probably would not have taken a Russian with them, though. If
you never know, but
yeah, didn't we already have that? Didn't we already cover that conspiracy too? About we don't do conspiracies in Russia because they all just kill each other. That was up in the woods or something like that. We were talking about that.
Yes. It was some like Bigfoot thing. Yeah.
No, that's because they were all gay. Okay. They were gay aliens. Those were the gay aliens.
Aliens.
So yeah, gay aliens.
Whatever.
So the one Russian had to kill all the other people because they would then nobody could prove that he was now gay because of the gay aliens. So
yeah, you're right. I think it's something like that. What's your take, Nick? What you got?
Yeah, again, for those of you watching for the first time, appreciate it. We're doing pretty well on Twitter right now. Got some other, other people, but I always go last because I'm the smartest one of the group, and I get to listen to all it takes and put things together, make it make sense, right? Here's something that the whole entire group missed, which I'm upset about, is this had happened in Ukraine. All right, which we all know from the recent 15 years of things that have been happening in Ukraine that everybody said was a conspiracy. Like, I don't know, chemical weapons, Fauci, all right, Biden, it's all true. Like, if something crazy comes out of Ukraine, it 100% happened. All right, so this 100% is legit. This guy, there is something that they figured out in Ukraine, because remember, that's still the wild, wild west, right? Like, I'm watching from California. Don't hold it against me. Hey, well, there's 3 of us on here from California. Well, 4 technically. Chris is from there originally. So yeah, we do not hold it against you. And I do. So yeah, 100% exists. 100% happened. This guy is a time traveler, or his buddy would say a time forwarder. And again, Hollywood desensitizes us to things, and they've already made a movie about this in the 70s with Planet of the Apes, right? Like, you go out into space and it's just come back. It's a different time, right? So everybody's like, yeah, I saw that movie. It doesn't matter.
My only real problem with it is that he had a camera and clothes. Everybody knows that when you travel in time, you end up naked.
How does everybody know that? That's from Terminator.
Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, we know that. So
again, usually alien abductions, you do end up naked. That's a good point.
Terminator a documentary?
It was exactly, because did you see the 3rd generation of ChatGPT won't shut down? They just did that news story. They literally built it in there that it shuts down on command, and it fixed itself. You cannot shut, so they can't even improve to the next level of ChatGPT because the version 3 won't shut itself down. Like, yeah.
Because they knew a new version was coming out. Yeah, this happened months. It was fucking wild, and ChatGPT was reprogramming itself because it knew a new version was coming out and didn't want to be.
Let's talk about that one next week. Let's talk about that next week.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But yeah, I got to bring this up again because notice the uniform. Okay, notice the hat. All right, it's Marine. Okay, are you all selling them 5 times X long shirts yet? XL longs. Johnny, with all due respect, please just lose about 200 pounds and we got the shirt for you. All right. And we can't just make those
email
shirts.
Me about it. That's the response you'll get. I do that about 5 times a day when I get emails.
It would cost us $600 to make your shirt, Johnny. All right. Or
PT, homie. I love you to pieces,
but
it's
PT,
called PT,
bro. Yeah. So
that's not good customer service. Well, I don't know what to tell you, man.
We don't really care about our apparel, so we don't really care if you buy it or not. It's nice if you do, but
we still love you all, though.
We still love you all. The apparel is just funny stuff like we can do a little promo. We got the Only Infantry shirt on. All right. You got the Gulf of Florida, Gulf of America shirt on. All right. So you get that one too. Buddy's wearing I love, that's one of my favorite ones. When the pagers were blowing up and we had the TNT mobile. If you're traveling, make sure you get your TNT mobile. All right. So it's a good one. I guess I'll just jump right into the Book of Earl. And those of you who watched the fight show last night, you already got some of it, and a little upset. But we've had 6,000 shows. So the Book of Earl and the Honesty Cap by Buddy, they start getting mixed together because there's so many things you can get triggered by. And again, these are all things that triggered me. Some of them are for good cause. Some of them are for not. But that's why our number 1 shirt comes out of the Book of Earl. All right, chapter 1, verse 1. Quit being a triggered pansy. All right. Now, everybody gets triggered. It's okay. All right. But once you start making it everybody else's problem, you now just became a pansy. All right. So don't do that. All right. Get mad all you want. All right. Get pissed off if somebody punches you in the face. I would too. All right. But, it's like, if you had it coming, you had it coming. All right. So it just is what it is. Anyways, covered it yesterday. And I want to go back, I think like 2 years ago when Buddy said, a lot of us didn't realize that if we let, the less than 1% of the population start dictating and making laws and making inclusivity, all that kind of stuff happen, that it won't come back to bite us. And then it won't rear its ugly face right in front of you. And obviously a lot of us agreed with that. And then I had another good friend on the show said, and he was talking about California. And so, Lynette, this is for you too, and for us here in Cali. They say that people from California are empathetically suicidal, right? To where they'll be, oh, it's so nice to be empathetic. And then you make a change and you make a rule or a law that does not serve the community, right? And it serves that maybe that 1%, but it'll come back to bite you. All right, here's it quickly. So you saw this national news story about this dude in beating up all the girls in track. All right, well, in California, and Trump, called Newsom and said, "Hey, I'm cutting your federal funding if you keep this going." Yada yada yada. Well, my daughter was in that meet. She qualified for the CIF Masters. All right, in the high jump, sophomore, doing phenomenal things. Right. And when I was there for it at Moorhead Park High School, I looked around and there was a bunch of armed guards, and I'm sitting here like, this is weird. And obviously somebody who's situationally aware, I notice it. And I'm like, look, everything okay here? And I'm like, yeah, it's just extra protection for high jump. Like, is there like an active shooter threat or like something, like what's going on here? But no, then I realized that it was because there was a dude jumping against girls. And then you start paying attention to all the shirts, and there's a lot of people saying save women's sports. All right. CIF stands for can't identify females. So a lot, like, it was phenomenal stuff. However, my daughter didn't clear 5.4. She's a sophomore. Just her being there is phenomenal. As a sophomore, losing to a bunch of people a bunch of ladies that are going to Division I colleges, that are the best in the state, some best in the country. So that experience alone is great. But let's just say she clears 5.4, right? Now she's doing something that sophomores don't usually do in the high jump, right? She's now qualifying for state. But she doesn't qualify for state because a dude jumped 5.4. Then a dude jumped 5.6, right? You just shattered that woman's dream, her hard work. You shattered it, okay? And then, but the real shattering came it was either the triple or the long jump. But a girl from a track powerhouse in California broke her school record, which stood for like 50 years. She took second in that event by 4 feet to that dude, all right? That dude beat someone who broke a track powerhouse school record as a woman, lost by 4 feet. And those of you who know track, which I don't know much about it until now because my daughters do it, is usually the high jumps and triple jumps come down to about 4 inches, like 5 inches. Like, it's so competitive at those levels. To lose by 4 feet, okay, is disgusting. All right, especially being a dude. All right. So here's where I'm going to go with that real quickly. You can't be empathetically suicidal. And if you listen to the news reports and the people who are taking sides left or right of it, you see what I mean by empathetically suicidal. Oh, well, it's not the person's fault. Yes, it is. That's number one. 2, it's the parent's fault. All right. It's the parent's fault for allowing it. All right. Now let's just throw everything out the window that we all agree with everything. And then it's okay to cut your kid's balls off. Right. Say it's okay. Right. You as the parent say, hey, yeah, we'll support you doing this, but you're kind of giving up a lot of rights to do what you kind of want to do. Right. You don't get to go play sports with those girls. You don't get to do it. All right. And I said it to Dave last week because I was triggered by it. I go, and then somebody was wearing a be a good human. Okay. Here's what a good human is. All right. That's not empathetically suicidal. If a transgender falls down the stairs, I'll pick the transgender up. All right. If a transgender human is hungry, I'll give them a sandwich. Okay. If a transgender wants to beat my daughter in sports because they have a mental condition and they want to become a girl, I'm going to tell you to go F yourself. All right. That's not right. And we can't be empathetically suicidal and let this person compete because they should be competing against dudes. But going back to what Buddy said, and I'll end it here, is if you don't think it'll ever come back to bite you in the face when you start letting all this dumb shit happen, it's going to come up and it's going to destroy your child's life. All right. It's going to destroy everything that your daughter worked for by letting a dude do that. And then, like I said, alpha males, alpha people, right? So we know, like in Dave's family, the woman's alpha, right? So Megan's the alpha. And it's fine.
She makes more money than me. That's cool.
It's fine. It's
nothing
fine.
wrong with that.
She's the alpha, but
it's okay to be a kept man, Dave.
There's also nothing wrong with
Chris,
being
come
a B
on, man.
personality. There's nothing
Don't
wrong with
even
being a
make
B
me go at
personality.
you,
There's
bro.
plenty of things that B personality people are good at, right? And that they're there for. They serve their purpose there. But alphas protect, okay? And we need to protect women. All right? They're our most prized possession on the planet. All right? Because they give life. Okay? Nobody else can do that. We need to take care of them. All right? We need to protect them. And then if you actually, all the women's rights that we've worked for over thousands of years in some cultures, right? You just throw it all away. You're throwing it all away to be empathetic. All right? So that's it. That's what I've been triggered about. And like Buddy said 2 years ago, it will come bite you in the face. That's what I got.
You ever notice that it's only female sports?
Yeah.
That there are no women that are transitioning to become men that are like, you know what I want to do? I'm trying to hit that gridiron and go compete against. They're trying to compete against people that they know are physically weaker than they are. That's not equality. That's taking advantage of someone because you know that you can take advantage of them. That's the opposite of right. And the only people that they have to really thank for it is, for a long time, there was the toxic masculinity was going around.
This is when you were talking about this.
Yeah. Toxic feminism is what brought this about. Well, we have to protect everything that even says that it's a woman. Well, you're just proving that men can do everything you can do as well, and better in the case of female sports. Like, it's wrong on so many levels, and it's crazy that we even have to have a discussion on why it's inappropriate.
And this debate got all fired up again because in Illinois, it's going to the state Supreme Court of a dude that's got like 14 straight no hitters in girls softball, and it's like, good job, homie. Like, do it for the dudes. All right.
Well, put an asterisk on that
Michelle.
stat.
Michelle, go ahead, Michelle.
Yeah, I want to, if you don't mind, I'd love to weigh in on this. So,
yeah, absolutely. Women's
sports, I've been an athlete my whole life, basketball, softball, played for the All Marine Corps women's softball team, by the way. It's such an important thing for women to be involved in sports. And they weren't always when I was younger and in high school, softball players were all lesbians. And there was, it was totally very limited amount of girls actually played softball and basketball. And now my daughter, like the softball players, she's a softball player, feminine women, most of the school, at least half of the women are involved in sports. They've come such a long way. We've come such a long way. And I have to say that when I was in boot camp, not even half the women who go to boot camp graduate from boot camp. Whereas the men, probably like 60, 70% of them graduate, where the women, it's like 40% of them graduate, because they never had somebody yell in their face. They never had to put up with hardship. They never had to push themselves to an extreme amount like you do when you play a sport. And I think sports over the last 20, 30 years for women has changed everything about women being leaders, learning to play as teams, learning to deal with hardship, to deal with somebody who doesn't like them, and is yelling at them and calling them names to their face. I mean, those things that we haven't had to do before, we're now doing and accomplishing. And for a man to come in and take that away, no true feminist, no true woman who cares about women would be okay with a man coming in and taking a spot or taking a medal or taking an award away from women. And that's not even talking about the danger. Softball is a dangerous sport. I had my two boys in football and my one girl in softball who had 2 concussions. My girl in softball, none of my boys in football. It's a dangerous sport, especially for the pitcher. I would not want my girl pitching on that mound with a man holding a titanium bat up at bat. I mean, that is just ludicrous.
Unless
So,
you're Jenny Finch, because you're just going to strike the guy out. But like, you know,
yeah.
no, you're spot on with that. Like I remember watching them. Some of them softball girls, they're like, you know, when they got, you know, them slap hitters or them drag bunters, like that third baseman standing like 5 feet away from home plate.
I played third base.
Yeah, and then you're talking these college athletes. It's still only 45-foot, you know, mound and 60-foot bases. That's a small little diamond to be moving that fast on. It's like, and so there's some collisions in that sport for sure. Like, yeah.
We talked about it real long, Nick. And before we get together, we had a long discussion about it. And it was like, do you go out there and you like talk shit to the kid, or do you talk shit to the parents? You know, like.
Both.
Is the kid is probably aware of what he's doing, but he's also not. Like it's a mental
this boy's real outspoken about it, and that's what really drives me nuts. Is you can tell that he's
at that point we didn't know.
Trying to get money.
You know, like at that point we didn't know, right? So when it just happened, like for me, I'd rather like it's the parents' fault 100%. You know, that's just like one of those things. Like you go out and just chew out the kid and make fun of the kid. Because you were even mentioned, like before you knew all this information, you're like everybody claps, right? It's a very positive environment.
Track's
you
such
know,
an awesome
like,
environment. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't know if I could get over myself, like going out there and fucking cussing out a little kid. You know, it's like, is it really your fault, man? It's your parents. Go ahead.
You just refuse to play. I mean,
track,
you're probably not going to get, but any sport where you can get injured on. You saw that girl that got the volleyball spiked into her head, her face, and broke her nose. You know, boxing. Where I mean, there's.
We saw that. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like you refuse.
That was a little bit.
Saw that in the Olympics.
The boxing one was. Yeah, but that was a little bit different with the boxing, unless it's the same one we're talking about. But
no, it's not different. It's an XY chromosome beating shit out of an XX chromosome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there was also that girl, the fencer.
Yeah.
That
it's still a dude.
She was like the best in the country. She went up against a trans athlete and she knelt and quit. She's like, I'm not doing this.
The fencer?
Yeah. That's what you have to do.
Yeah.
Yep. No, but again, a woman shouldn't have to do that. How far we've come, like Michelle just said, in women's sports.
Spot on.
Like.
Well, here's the problem with the whole like kneeling and quitting or just not playing. In the short term, you make a point, but it also opens the door for like there are other little girls that are watching that and they're like, well, why even try?
Right.
Like
You're just going back 30 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why we're going to make a new shirt at Gruntworks. All right. I told Dave and Bob to be ready for a new line, but it's going to be like Gruntworks protects women. Right. And that's going to be like, keep the X, Y, and sexy and out of women's sports. All right. So it's, you know, like it's just absolutely insane. Don't steal that shirt yet, guys. Don't steal it grunt style. All right. So like we're gonna make it first. But yeah, let's get to our guests. Right. Let's do
Buddy's been waiting all day, man. He wants to pour his wine glass.
Pour in the wine glass. No, super excited. We actually got contacted by Dan, who does all the fun email marketing stuff and everything on Instagram, with all the arrow shooting and beer drinking and blowing things up with Black Rifle Coffee and all that, like all that awesome stuff. We're glad to have him. And then he introduced us to Michelle and Dave online, and so now we got him on the show. Super excited to have him. We got a Marine, and I was going to make the joke on the gender thing. It was like obviously Dave was the Marine. But no, Michelle the Marine, and Dave the retired sheriff now.
Michelle's the Marine, yep, and Dave's
22 years. And what we really wanted to uncover with the winery up in Paso Robles, the Thin Blue Wine, is we don't know how they were able to afford to go up in Paso Robles on those jobs. So there's definitely some cartel action here, and that's what we really want to get into, like some kind of safe drug corridor through their vineyard, which allows them to have it. But I mean, I'm just guessing, but I'll let them tell their story.
Barrels.
It's not just wine in the barrels, but no. Anyways, hey, welcome to the Trash Talk Hour. Welcome to the Dumpster Fire. Tell us a little bit about yourselves. What you got going on in Paso Robles?
Well, it's like I always say: don't hate the player, hate the game.
Right. Ooh, I like it. Oh,
yeah.
Realistically, we're not making it on my retirement. So thankfully, she has a really well-paying job, and I just kind of ride the coattails on that. But there's a lot of craziness.
There's a lot of craziness that comes with that. We're not complaining, though. Look at us, man.
No, heck no. It's a thing of beauty. I protect her so that she can keep making the money so that I can remain in the lifestyle to which I've become accustomed.
Let's start with
About time to turn the tables, men. Women want equality. Let's give it to them.
Yes.
So that's what I'm
you
all
are.
about.
You are a patriot, sir.
No, we started with a great business model, like no overhead. When we started this 5-6 years ago, we just we came up with it. Michelle got all mad about a little incident that occurred in Laguna Beach with their police cars and an American flag, and she got really pissed off. Started buying a bunch of grunt style T-shirts back when they were owned by veterans, and it just kind of
no longer.
It didn't scratch.
From now
the
on,
itch
Grunt works. Just wanted to add that. From now on, Grunt works.
Of course,
Shut up, Dave. We'll switch. I'm fine. But she got really Twitter pated over that, and so when buying all the T-shirts that was great because I got a bunch of good T-shirts. I scored, but it didn't scratch the itch for her. She's like, we got to do something more. Now, keep in mind, I've been retired about 5 years at this time, and she's been trying to get me a job because she couldn't stand watching me drinking coffee in the morning, watching cooking shows. So I loved it. After 28 and a half years, working in the sheriff's department, it was nice. No alarms, no one calling me with, bullshit problems. Hey, Sarge, this is going. I don't have any of that anymore. But she didn't like it, trying to get me work. Right? So I failed spectacularly at every job she tried to get me in with her company. I'm like, I don't want to do this bullshit. So I failed. So anyway, she's like, that's it. We're going to do our own wine label. And right there on the couch, boom, Thin Blue Wine. We kind of bought. And so what we did was we just started thinking of cop stuff, which was pretty easy for me because we have a fireman bottle called Hose Dragger. So that's just what we called them. We called them hose draggers. Necessary force started out as excessive force, but it kind of couldn't really work that label. It was kind of like maybe
at the time that was
maybe that would have been a bad move. So we did necessary force, and it's a pretty cool bottle. It's got the warrior helmet, 5 years sober. The American flag motif, the blue line through. It's a pretty cool bottle. Thin Blue and Red Wine in Blue was
that's the one you guys have.
Which is the one you guys have. That was just kind of
ode to the flag.
Yeah, we just wanted to pay tribute to and that was when the Betsy Ross controversy was also going on. So
almost all of our labels came out of some controversy, especially the Thin Blue, because at the time police officers were just, being lambasted by the media and, so much anti-cop hate. And I just thought, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a business person. As soon as I got out of the Marine Corps, I started my own business, bootstrapped it, sold it. Now I'm working for the company that bought mine, but I love the idea of using consumerism to get a message across, so we want to honor police officers and military and patriots. And so many wineries are just too scared. And even people that we talk to, they're like, oh, you're going to alienate people. People aren't going to like you. I don't give a fuck if people like us or not. I'm doing what I know is right. And I'm doing something that's going to mean something, that's going to help change the culture, so that I'm not going to change everybody, but people should know that police officers, the military and police officers, both put their lives on the line, both sacrifice for their country. The biggest difference is that when you go and you fight in a war and you get killed by an enemy, a foreign enemy. Here, police officers get murdered by the people that they're defending. And that is just sick. And it shouldn't happen. And it's because the media is constantly telling people that all cops are bad. ACAB. Every time we post something on social media, we get somebody that says ACAB. All cops are bad. I'm like, yeah, all carbs are bad. I believe I'm a low carbohydrate diet. No, but anyway.
That's why you drink wine.
We always say
these carbs are good.
We always say that the Marines, the Army, the soldiers, the military, when they're done with deployment, they get to take their flak off and their fighting is done.
Yep. I was about to say that.
The cops, they do it every day, in and out.
Yep.
And a lot of times in your own community. So like you're going to work, you're putting your body armor on. We've had several law enforcement on the show, and it's like you're putting your body armor every day, and it's in your community. Like there really is no break, and you're dealing with danger every day. Like we deploy, we come home, and like we're good to go until we go back overseas. So the mental health issue, like what we've heard is like, and maybe you can hit on that. I don't want to go too off topic, but that, our show is about mental health. Like that's a serious business, what you guys deal with on a day-to-day basis, and the amount of help that you get, well, the lack of help that you get. Because from my understanding, you have an issue, you're done. And there goes your paycheck, especially if you're married and you have a family. Like it's a pretty serious issue.
Well, that would depend on how much. It's actually, it's changed over time. Yeah,
Right.
Back when I first started in 1985, when I first, started the academy stuff, you're right. It was a big taboo. You couldn't let it be known that you had any kind of issue like that because you're right. You'd be off on on workers' comp. So, you got to be careful with that back in the day. But it's gotten so much better now. It's more, you can get help. You can come back to work. Less of a stigma, I think, now than it was, back when I first started. So yeah, there's much more help available for the men and women in the first responder community than there used to be, for sure.
That's good to know.
Yeah. And then Michelle, what did you do in the Corps?
I was a C-130 engine mechanic.
Ah, very nice.
Yeah. I wanted to be a grunt. I went to see my recruiter. He was a great salesperson, man.
Well, all Marines are grunts. So you're
you're all riflemen.
Yes.
You're all riflemen.
Yeah.
I was married to a Marine for 14 years.
Ask her about
ask her
about when the SecDef was across from her room.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. I have so many great stories. But so I went to see my recruiter, and he was like, I just wanted to go in reserves. I was going to college at the time, and in New Jersey, I was going to Rutgers. And he's like, why just for the reserves? And I was like, well, I want to stay in New Jersey. I want to, we can get you stationed on the East Coast, which is bullshit, not in the Northeast Coast. And then he said, well, I said, well, I want to make sure I can finish school. Oh, we'll pay for your school. You can finish school, which every time you get deployed, you drop your classes. And I mean, you can finish school, but it's really hard. So he answered all my objections. I signed up, shipped out, Paris Island. I wanted to be a grunt. They wouldn't let me do that. I wanted to be a helicopter machine door gunner. Wouldn't let me do that. There's a lot at that time. The jobs were very limited for women. So I don't want a desk job. What can I do where I'm, doing something? And they said, well, you can be a mechanic. You can be an aircraft mechanic. No idea what that's like or how to be a mechanic. So I was like, yeah, I'll do that. Sign me up for that. So it was kind of cool. I mean, the air wings are different, than the rest of the Marine Corps, and I really wanted to do Marine stuff. So I got to shoot in the Western Division matches. I was a really good shooter. I got to play softball for the Marines. I got to do a lot of things that were outside the wing, which is really cool. And I got to deploy to Kuwait and get in trouble because I had a party in my room across the hall from the Secretary of Defense.
Somebody like that. Don't ask me. I wasn't there.
So we go Air Force Base. They look at my LCPL, Lance Corporal, and they think I'm a Lieutenant Colonel.
Nice.
Because they didn't know the difference. Air Force.
I had this happen in my favor too once. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So they gave me this bitchin' room. We're in England, the Air Force Base in England. I can't remember the name of it. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, guys, I got this amazing room. Let's all go to my room. So we had 2 C-130s full of air crew. We're all in my room watching a boxing match. And every time somebody hit somebody, all the guys are like, oh, like I don't know,
making grunting noises. Like that's what the Marine Corps does. What do they do? Hoorah. No, I don't know.
Hoorah.
They just bark, right?
Yeah. So we got in trouble. The lieutenant colonel of the base called me to stand tall in front of him, and I was like, "Oh, they're gonna give us props for just deploying to Kuwait." Yeah, there wasn't props. I got my ass chewed, but it was great. We had great stories.
You kept the SecDef up all night.
We're restricted to the planes the rest of the deployment. So
Nice.
Wait, lieutenant colonels can't have boxing matches?
Yeah.
No, they can,
Like,
but
that
Lance
doesn't
corporals
make sense.
can't.
Lance corporals can't.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
But all right, let's get into the
Some serious
wine. Let's
Lance
get
Corporal
into the
Underground
vino.
shit
Let's
right
get
there.
it. Let's get into what the gentlemen have in front of them, because like I said, I got to taste mine last night.
Right.
What we did have a question about when we were reading the label, right? Because that's what you do as a wine snob. You read the label and get a snifter of this. It's a blend, and with the was it Shiraz and
No, it's a Cabernet. It's a You're drinking a Cabernet Sauvignon and a Tempranillo blend.
Tempranillo. That's what it was. Tempranillo.
Yeah, Tempranillo.
But that is that Tempranillo from Paso Robles?
Yes, all of our wines from Paso.
Okay, yeah, because that was real big in El Paso, Tempranillo, and they would always say that
big in Spain,
Spanish wine, yeah,
and so yeah, because that's where the Spanish priests they kind of didn't get much further past Santa Fe, so like their grapes they brought with them for communion, so you get that. But yeah, so they're actually you grow Tempranillo in Paso Robles.
So
we don't grow. So we originally we bought wine from Paso Robles, and we put it in our bottles. Then we started buying grapes, making the wine with a winemaker, like not us because that would be scary. Putting in our bottles. Then we bought a vineyard because, like he says, I sometimes I go a little nuts, with
she's a shoot ready aim.
Definitely. So
shoot ready.
Buying real estate is always a good investment. There's a vineyard for sale. Let's buy this one. So now we have a vineyard. Now we're producing all estate wine. That's not going to be. It's not going to be all estate till what year?
Till
2023.
Till right now.
Our estate wine is in barrels right now.
We're going to be bottling estate wines like this month, June.
Oh, awesome!
Nice.
Yeah. So it's definitely grown, and we have an amazing following of people that love what we're doing. It's the word's not out enough yet, but it's spreading, and it's all organic, and it's really cool. The support is cool.
That's what we're here to do: spread the word.
What's the percentage on that one that they have?
The wine? Are you stopping the grapes yourself?
I think it's a 75-25.
Okay.
But I'd have to go back and look at the actual. But it's going to be higher Cab Sav than Tempranillo.
Are you guys labeling it as a
already
cab?
made? Was that?
Are you going to label it as a cab then?
No, we label it as a blend.
Okay.
Yeah, and we got a little bit of spice from it, a little spicy.
You should get a little bit of spice on the finish on that one.
I liked
Tempranillo.
it. Yeah, I liked it, buddy. What do you think?
It's actually really good.
Let's see you take a sip. Exactly, buddy. Let's go.
I'll tell you. Let me just tell you right off the bat.
Pinky out, buddy.
When you taste it.
Man, you're my kind of taster. When anybody comes and tastes, when anybody comes and tastes our vineyard, I always tell them if you're expecting me to give you it's going to have notes of dark chocolate and black cherries.
Yes.
You're going to notice fruit on the front end of your palate. The mid palate's going to get a little bit racier, but then it's going to get a little
bit more leather.
You can really taste the tannins. That's not my tasting style. My tasting is this shit's really good, so please enjoy it. Because
we don't know what's in it.
Everyone's palate is different. When you drink wine, some people are really sensitive to tannins, so they're going to get the mouth feel differently. So if you tell them, what to expect, and they don't get it, then they're going to be like, well, that's not
that, or the opposite. You can activate a bias in them, and they already don't like it before they even try it.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's also I don't know. I think I'm only a third of the bottle down since we started the show. And I will say it's like it's kind of like it's fairly mellow. Like it's not like a super like punch you in your face. Like it'd be really good with.
What would you pair it with, buddy? What would you pair this wine with?
Let's hear it, buddy. Buddy's the wine connoisseur of the show now. Let's go.
You did marry a French woman.
Probably a nice, maybe a nice feta cheese and some strawberries.
No,
that says, is it good with cheesecake? That's my only requirement.
Yeah, strawberries are
really good with anything you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so if Lynette wants to pair her wine with cheesecake from Thin Blue Winery, all right, how does she get it?
www.thinbluewine.com.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's
Real
online.
original, guys.
If you buy more than 4 bottles, it's only $10 shipping. I feel like everybody's like, since Amazon, like everything's got to be free shipping, but wine's expensive to ship.
Are any crazy like laws shipping? So you guys ship through the entire
So we're
country?
pretty much in we're in about 46 states that we can ship
Nice.
to. You can't ship to Utah, can't ship to Mississippi yet, although they're trying to get that squared away. I think the governor just
Bible
signed
Belt
a
and the
bill.
Mormons got you.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Prohibition era laws still on the
I
books.
think Arkansas, you can't.
Alabama,
There's a
you
couple
can't.
of them.
So
Way to
there's
go, buddy. Way to ruin capitalism, buddy.
I know,
Way
right?
to go, buddy.
We have to protect our own homemade wines down here. So
Yeah.
leave us alone.
So, buddy,
And are they?
You come out with a nice muscadine scumpanog or watermelon wine, and we'll let you have it.
And that's the thing is like
and,
we're kind of stuck in California because of the winery. Like there's other wine regions, but really California wine, and
Especially
I know this might
Paso.
piss people off.
And
It
Paso's
is
the
like
best.
the
My
best
favorite.
wine.
Yep.
yeah, especially if you're making traditional, traditional wine and not making like a mead or like a sweet, like that's the one thing I don't really love about like the wineries down here or whatever, or the vineyards down here. It's all it's very, very sweet, like overly sweet. It's a fine dessert wine, but I really haven't had any that's like good for like a meal or even just to have a glass of, because it's like diabetes
we
in
get
a bottle.
requests
just a
from
little
like
bit.
the Northeast. I feel like New York, New Jersey, they want sweet wines. They're like, do you have any sweet
Moscatos.
wines? And we're like, no,
Rieslings.
The
there
muscadine.
shouldn't be
Yeah.
sweet wines.
You can add some sugar
Because,
to it if you want. Yeah.
That's not
Lynette
true.
wants to know-
I was gonna make a late harvest Zin from our vineyard,
that's
but we
different.
caught a late rain and it got mold, so I wasn't able to do it. So we might. It's going to depend on a lot of different factors. You never know. We might do a late harvest.
Like a
late
port is
harvest
fine.
is kind of like it's like a port light. It's not a full on.
Ooh, George Washington preferred port.
Yeah.
Yep.
Lynette wants to know
there
if
you
she
go.
can just come pick it up. She's in Bakersfield.
Yeah, I saw that question. I was just going to say, reach out to me at dave@thinbluewine.com, and I'll go over a couple of different ways that can happen.
Yeah, 'cause
I was gonna say, are you guys available?
Bakersfield's
for
kind of close to
stores?
Paso, so we could work something out.
Nice.
Yeah. Are you?
Nice. And
is
then
it so it's
what
currently just online, or
Yes.
like?
And
Okay.
if anybody's in Paso, we do private tastings in the vineyard, but we're building a tasting room right now. We should have it done
Nice.
maybe in a year and a half or so. California is hard as hell to build. So we're hoping about a year and a half we'll actually have like an official tasting room, and that'll be fun. You'll have to have
Very
you guys
cool.
out.
What you're saying,
We'll have to come
what
there.
I
and
want to
show
know
you.
about
We'll do
this
a show from
club.
there. We'll do a show
No,
from
what
there.
you're saying
That'd be
is
awesome.
when
That's
you
awesome.
We have a big barn. You could do it right from inside the barn.
when you release your estate wine, you wanted Veteran Trash Talk there to drink it and then
Yes.
have a live show from there and promote it.
That'd be awesome.
100%.
That'd be awesome.
All right. Well,
Yeah,
we're
we'd love
doing it.
to.
You let us know when that is, and we will actually fly this Marine out because he's got all the equipment. And then Buddy will wear the same suit and tie that he's wearing now,
Yeah.
and we will be
Yeah,
presentable.
can he just wear the T-shirt? Because I don't want people to think we're letting hobos in our.
Yeah, but by the way, this is
Well,
I'll wear a
depending on
t-shirt
where you're
and
at,
the-
they might
and-
not
and
like
the
that
tie.
shirt.
That's-
So
Yeah.
this is the
Oh,
this
no,
is the
anybody that's
nicest
watching
Buddy's
this
ever
is
been
gonna
dressed
like
for
that
the
shirt.
show. Yeah.
So I have a
TNT
question.
Mobile. Yeah.
You have
Hey,
a
I
bottle
told-
on here called the Oath, your reserve Syrah. And it says it's club members only.
We actually sold out of the Oath. So the Oath was our kind of like our high end, where we weren't sure we were going to be able to sell a $60 bottle online with nobody tasting it. It's kind of, but we did. We sold out of it like in less
Pretty
than a
quick.
year. So beautiful. We're going to redo it. We have a Zin right now in barrels that's amazing. And we like to blend mostly everything because it's just fun. We have a Petite Syrah right now in barrels that's amazing. I think we're going to blend them both, and we're going to put out the Oath in the summer.
We're going to improve the label on the Oath.
I'm gonna need to know how to get on that club to
Yeah,
get
for
those
sure.
done.
I'll let you know. I'll send you an email.
I mean, especially 92 points from wine enthusiasts. That's
I know, isn't that crazy?
That's high.
Yes.
That was our first grape purchase. We bought a Onyx Syrah, paid $2,000 a ton for that wine, and then
which is cheap.
And yeah, which is pretty cheap. Those grapes today are $4,000 a ton.
Yeah. Our wines, and we have a great winemaker. So it's not just us, but we like for the price that we sell the wines for, like in the under $40 mark, you can't get anything in Paso Robles for that price. Like now, for some reason, if you go to wine tasting in Paso Robles, the wines are $60-$70 for this quality. We want to keep the price low because we want our target markets, veterans, cops, like we want to be able to make sure that we're serving our community.
And cops are cheap bastards, so we have to make sure.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
They just want hazards.
Handing out $400 tickets.
Havers.
Yeah, like it's no big deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love them, but man, we're cheap.
I'm glad they're cheap though, because I pay all their
Yeah, and then
salaries.
hey, buddy did ask a question, but he got trampled on with that in the dumpster fire. That is veteran trash talk, and we never ever let you. You guys actually got to talk a lot more than most guests because we can't shut up. But do you guys actually mash the grapes with your feet?
We did it once. We got super.
Why is that a thing? Every time I think about it, I
you
think
had a chance
about
to
like
answer,
that
but Buddy
movie
stopped
with,
you.
Well, we're gonna the what's that when Keanu Reeves goes and like stomps the grapes and does all the things.
Normally that's
do
not
that?
what you do.
That'd
But
be fun.
we took a bunch of wine that we just picked the grapes ourselves. We bought it home. We got shit faced, and we're like, let's put all these wines somewhere in a bucket, like a Tupperware, like
It was a big bin.
And we got it wasn't that big. It was like like this big of a bin. And we both got in there and we're drinking. We videotaped the whole thing. It's fucking hilarious. So we didn't drink any of that shit. We're like, I'm not drinking this.
It didn't work.
After my feet were all over it. No, but it was fun. So no, we don't stomp grapes.
Do you have to do it some sort of way? That seems like that would be a cool way to like attract people to the vineyard too. Is
Grape
like
stomping.
have like a big.
If we're gonna do that,
event,
we're gonna give them the
smash
punch down tool and take them to the wine and let them punch the wine down because that's a lot of work. So we'll do that as a learning experience, and then they can do all the hard work.
We can let them pick the grapes too. Then we don't have to hire laborers. We can be like, it's grape picking day.
There you go.
Yeah. Why does this wine cost $40? Yeah. Well, here, come do the work and you'll figure it out.
Yeah. Rotate. You get one bottle as payment.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. This is awesome.
Yeah.
So what's next? What's next for Thin Blue Line? What's the next big step besides the estate wine?
Well, the tasting room is good. The tasting room and a production facility. If we can get that built on the larger piece of land we have, then that's going to be the big step. Being open to the public, that type of thing. That's going to be that'll be the next big step. So that's what we're working on now. That's why she can't quit. She has to keep working.
Keep working, Michelle.
Too much to pay for.
Right. Women's rights.
It's
expensive.
So my paycheck comes in and it goes right out into wine. So there's
Mark Cuban would love you, even though he's a liberal. Mark Cuban would love you. Like, wait, you don't take a paycheck? All right, I'll invest. No, this is super awesome that you guys you started this, and that I liked what you said about using consumerism to advocate. And it's a really cool idea. I actually have a wine palate, which I don't like because there's just certain like for instance another Paso Robles the Liberty School, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you drink that, it's a good $15-$20 bottle, and it tastes good. But then you have the Reserve, which is like $40-$45, and it's like it makes the other one to me taste like junk now. And I'm like, I can't stand that. What is it? I don't know what it is. Maybe you guys know because you're the winemakers. What makes a wine smell or taste like butter? Do you ever get that?
Chardonnays.
It's the oak that they put it in. So for example, we use about 33% new oak barrels. So for every 10, we have 3 that are new. Everything else is either neutral or used. But if you get like 100% French oak, you're gonna get that.
Yeah, but the red wine shouldn't taste like butter. Like if it's red wine,
you'll get that smell. He said the smell.
Yeah,
the smell. Yeah, I'll get that smell.
A lot of like mass-produced wine, like probably like Liberty School, they use chemicals to make the wine consistently taste the same over time. You'll notice that our wine is never this. It never tastes exactly the same. It's always
Your wine tasted delicious. I didn't get one bad, nothing out of it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's because, but if you're going to make the same consistency, you're going to have to use chemicals in that, and that's probably why you get the headaches, and you know, because the wine isn't natural, it's not 100% natural.
Yeah.
That's a
great. You know, on the
I learned today. I learned today. Nice. It didn't.
Yeah, then those cheaper bottles aren't going to be put in oak. Probably they're probably done in tanks, and they're left in tanks. So you're not going to impart anything.
They'll throw oak staves in there.
Sometimes they'll put the staves in. Staves actually work, but it depends on what kind you use and how long you leave them. But it's not the same impact as you get in a full barrel.
Interesting.
And then you also have they're not going to use the best yeast when they're inoculating, and they're not going to use the best nutrients. There's a lot of different.
Yeah, to make a profit on a bottle that's less than $20, that's you're going to have to really.
You got to really cut your corners a lot.
Yeah.
Cheap glass, cheap cork, and cheap.
Man, when I was in E5, that Walmart wine at Oakleaf for $2.99 a bottle, forget about it. That was legit.
Hey, we started. When I turned her out on wine with a 95 Opus. So if you know Robert Mondavi, Opus is like the top shelf. So I had one, was about 10 years old, and I finally opened it, and because I was trying to get her to drink wine, she wouldn't drink it. She was a vodka drinker. So she tasted the Opus and was like, "Oh my God, why didn't you start me with this bottle?" And I said, "Because it's a $300 bottle. I can't just."
Yeah.
But from that, now I have 10 club memberships, and
we are sponsored by 10th Mountain Whiskey, which has a great potato vodka.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
With the problem with Opus now, though, is it's owned by that Chinese holding company, and it's
I doubt
so mass produced.
We did a blind taste test here.
What I do? It's one of my labels.
We did a blind taste test here, and Opus was one of them. And I thought for sure, like, I'm going to be able to pick that out. I love that wine. No, it was not the best wine. Not at all. Because, like I said, you mass produce something and you want it to be consistent. You're going to add stuff to it that shouldn't be in there. So
why is American wine so much more expentive than like?
And why is it better?
I know because they keep winning awards.
No, it's true. When you go to we went to Spain this year, and the good wine was like $25, $30. It's crazy. I don't know.
Our mental health warrior,
because people will spend it. That's why.
Yeah. Our mental health warrior is currently.
We started out there. Wines were $40. Now they're you go to some places they got $100 bottle. You're like, come on, man, this is Paso Robles.
Yeah, when I'm in Europe, we'll go to Italy to buy the gas station to buy wine, and it's wine that's comparable with a $10, $15, $20 bottle of wine here in the States, and it's like.
But they also have nowhere near the regulations there that they have here.
Yeah.
That you have to comply with. I mean,
well, other than
the liquor taxes, alcohol taxes,
the taxes, the licensing, the minimum wage laws for labor, the what you have to do with labor, the workers' comp, like
they just
everything.
use serfs in France.
Yeah,
they use the common folk, so they gotta have title.
I don't know about all that.
No.
Yeah,
but the wine we keep winning. Is this true? I saw this on TV, so it had to be. I think it was on I think it was a History Channel thing about wine, where American vineyards are beating the European ones in taste testing because of the opposite side of the regulation. Europe has more regulations on what types of grapes you can grow, what types you can blend. But in America, it's like, hey, put all that shit together, see how it tastes.
Yeah,
and it's like, oh, it's pretty good. Like so.
Well, it's like champagne. Yeah. One of the big labels just got in a bunch of trouble. Mums. They were calling it Mum Napa for the longest time, and you can't do that unless your grapes are coming from that region. So they had to change it, and it's even stricter out in Europe. Like if it's a Bordeaux, it has to come specifically
Yeah.
from the Bordeaux region.
And we'll
Yep.
make stuff like I said,
Totally
blending
agree.
makes everything better. So you get a cab and then you put a little bit of Petit Syrah in it. It's a better cab. But in Europe and other areas like Italy, you can't do that. Your cab has to be a cab, a Bordeaux has to be a Bordeaux.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. Well, hey, we're gonna be on. We're gonna have a show from your vineyard. Just let us know when you want it.
Can't wait.
We'll go live and stream it from there and get as many people as we can to come support, help out. Maybe we can get Dan to come up. Get him out of Texas, get him Kami, California here. Should be okay. But yeah, give us. We got Buddy for the AAR. Did you write your notes down?
Oh yeah. All the notes.
All the notes from the wine.
That third of the bottle is starting to hit Buddy.
Yeah, he just fell asleep. Everybody
also
listening
half a bottle
on the podcast later when we upload the audio, Buddy just fell asleep. But that's all right.
Time travel. That's a thing. Some guy fucking showed up in Kyiv with a camera. He was time traveling. Everybody believes it's true except for
Chris.
I don't know,
Yeah.
one person. Chris doesn't believe it's true.
Loser.
Chris doesn't believe in anything. Let's see. And then the Book of Earl. Don't let dudes put on wigs and then play against women. They're not chicks with dicks. They're dudes in makeup. It's a difference. What's a choice? They're just anyway. And then drink wine.
Thin blue wine. Drink thin blue wine.
I am gonna put this one in a short. This is good, buddy.
Yeah, this is good.
I love it.
This is going on TikTok. This is going on TikTok.
Hey, Michelle and Dave. Final words.
Yeah,
What do
Dave
you
and
guys
Michelle,
got
final
for
words.
everybody?
Thin blue wine.
We're just super grateful for you guys to have us on. We're trying to get the word out. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, go to our website. You can sign up for our emails and get the word out because consumerism is how you change the culture. You want people to support police, support military, support patriots. Then you got to, do that thing.
Love it. Hey, thanks for coming
I just
on.
got a little
I
warm.
can't wait to
Michelle, I just got a little warm.
taste this with my dad. He should be out here in a couple months, so it'd be good. And for anybody that tuned in late, go to VeteranTrashTalk.com. That is our website, which has the links to everything. You can rewatch this on YouTube later, where we are shadow banned. So anybody that's watching right now on X, Facebook, wherever else we're streaming, I don't know where else we're streaming, Chris. Go to YouTube, subscribe, give us a like, push us through the algorithm, and go check out shop.veterantrashtalk.com. Here's one of my favorite shirts, Only Infantry. All right, wearing it right now. Go check it out.
Got one for the
Support
guests,
the
too.
cause. All right. Most of the proceeds from those shirts go to promote
There you
businesses
go.
like this because that's what we do. Oh, there's your Marine shirt. There you go. Way better than Grunt Style. Way better.
Grunt Style actually
Pretty
stole
sure
that
they
from
stole
Gruntworks.
the Marine crayon idea from us, but we have those in many variations.
We didn't own Gruntworks at the time. A Marine did, and Grunt Style actually stole that from them. Like, oh man,
I think
really,
that's
guys?
probably what happened. I don't want a lawsuit, but I'm pretty sure that's what happened.
Well, we didn't own it
Anyway,
then, so
thanks
we
for
can say
tuning
it.
in, and we'll catch you guys next Saturday. Faceman VTT out. Boom.